And Siobhan is here. And so if you could, good morning. Good morning from North Carolina. And Leslie is here. And so I thought we would start this morning since we have our international community here with us this morning from all these amazing places, Colorado and Oregon and North Carolina, and of course, California and Israel as well. I wonder if we could start with a discussion. And I have been writing with Siobhan for a while. Good morning, Jan and Leslie. And I wondered if you guys could come off mute, both of you, so that we could maybe discuss for a few minutes together this idea of these three forms of laziness. This idea of the three forms of laziness. And Siobhan, why don't you start? You had beautiful, both of you, both Leslie and Siobhan wrote some beautiful things. I'll share snippets of it at the when I send the recording. But I'm wondering if you would just say a few things about what you discovered in your inquiry, Siobhan, as you were investigating these concepts of laziness, where we default, where we rationalize, where we've bought into. It's actually a very large storyline, isn't it, about ourselves and our practice and what's necessary, good, valuable, and not. And of course, let's start with the understanding, and then I want Siobhan to talk, that we tend to like what we're comfortable with, what fits the storyline, what makes sense, given that rationale that we've cultivated for most of us 50 or more years, and that what is harder, uncomfortable, sometimes unpleasant, maybe words like scary, don't make sense. For that, we often can collapse, I believe, into levels of laziness, what we're calling, and for me, it's spiritual laziness. It's not how many times you get to the gym. It's how many times you get to stillness, right? How many times you get to silence, how many times you can pause and abide and be with challenges, difficulties, and that laziness is pervasive, right? Because it's built right into the brainstem. So I'm going to shut up for a little bit. And Siobhan, why don't you tell us what you wrote me some things. I wrote you back because I wanted to make sure we didn't fall into the practice, not practice duality. But I think we came away with some pretty nice insights.
Yeah, so, I think where this started, where I sort of fell away from a sitting practice, was when I was experiencing chronic insomnia, and you and I talked during that time. And it was really not until late summer, right, early fall this year, that I have kind of overcome that. But during that time, I said it was very hard for me to sit and practice. And you said, well, I get that. And maybe if you can at least do 60 breaths, that would be good. And then I, kind of overcome the insomnia, and I do all these other practices now that support my well-being. So I'm doing Qigong regularly, and Feldenkrais, and these, nervous system practices. And I'm telling myself, I don't think I need to sit. I'm doing all these other things. And I don't know what happened in class last week, but it was just this epiphany of, whoa. Let's look at that for a minute. And the truth is that sitting practice, I know from experience, supports my mindfulness, my ability to to not react in my daily life, to be more present and mindful for everything I'm doing. And I know it supports that. Granted, there are times I can be mindful, and contact silent spaces during the day or pause when I'm not doing a regular sitting practice, but I do quite honestly inside know that it does support me. And I just came up with some grand reasons why I didn't have to practice. And quite frankly, a sitting practice is not always fun. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, we could say that at least. You're running right into yourself, as I like to
you
say.
know, I can see how I followed that trajectory, because sitting practice is just like my life. It is not always fun. It is not always pleasant. It can be. Sometimes it is silent and, peaceful. Oftentimes it isn't. But I think this book, the book we're doing, and these teachings just caused that bing, ding, ding. I just went, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. Let me
and it-
look at that again, at least, right?
You
With inquiry, with curiosity, at least. Let's
Yeah.
look at that stance, that view, that.
Well, and then I even added Eckhart Tolle into it. I said, well, he says you don't have to meditate either. You can just be present. You can just be in the now because you say so. And he never really recommends meditation. So I thought, oh, well, even Eckhart Tolle says you don't have to meditate. So I, once again, and Diana has known about my trajectories throughout my mindfulness practice, but once again, I've been sort of boomeranged back.
Yeah.
And I get it at a deeper level why we're doing this. I don't know how many years this is going to take, Diana, but I'm here. I'm still here.
They say, what is it they say, Carrie, in Shanti Deva's multiple eons, and as long as it takes something to right, all the glaciers to melt. I don't remember exactly.
Something about 10,000 lifetimes or something.
Yeah,
too?
Okay.
not the idea that it was going to take longer than a couple minutes or a couple breaths.
Couple
That we
years.
have to be clear. Multiple eons and
Yeah.
7,000 lifetimes. In any case, I did want to speak to that because then Libby and I had a discussion, and she was saying something like, I don't see how this is possible without practice. And how do you do this thing? And we did speak directly, by the way, to Eckhart Tolle. And we said, how is it that someone like Eckhart Tolle, who doesn't have a formal meditation practice with a number of minutes a day, with how does that happen? And so I'm going to let Libby say what she heard me say, because she'll probably say it more succinctly.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't remember the words. It was like a sudden enlightenment.
So she's using the word sudden enlightenment. This has been, by the way, discussed throughout all spiritual texts throughout time, which is this idea of sudden versus gradual. Is anybody recollecting this kind of teaching? Sure you have, right? Which is the sudden enlightenment is a moment like Eckhart Tolle's, where he's literally on the ground ready to kill himself, in that kind of complete despair. And in that despair, there is a breaking wide open. And in the breaking wide open, he says, this is like the Buddha himself, this is the cause of suffering, this mind. And if I just don't choose to follow or listen or fall in to the delusion of this mind, everything is perfect. Everything is right. That moment of sudden enlightenment. By the way, every one of us has had that. Every one of us has experienced a moment of that pristine clarity where you go, no more. No, it's done, right? Poof. And it looks like it vanished, right? It looks sudden. Here's the truth. All enlightenment moments, and we're having them regularly, maybe now, just here, like just like this, right? All enlightenment moments are ripened like a beautiful piece of fruit that finally falls from the tree, right? It is not without cultivation. It cannot be. It is not without tending. It is not without attuning. It is not without practice. Whatever that is, however you do it, that is its nature. And yes, boom, moment. And then you go, just happened. That's it. And by the way, what do we also know? Moment of enlightenment, next moment, stuck in the mud, lost in the swamp. Because what? New moment, new conditions, new mind, right here, right? So that one, boom, never gonna eat caramel corn like I did before. By the way, resolved. It's resolved. I doesn't mean I won't have a piece. I don't have to eat a bag of caramel corn. It will never happen. I'm absolutely certain about that, because that affliction with that addiction, right, has dissolved. There is no more pairing of that impulse with that object, with that relationship, right? There is no caramel corn that will bring my father back, is there? That was the connection, caramel corn and dad. All the caramel corn you eat, right, will not resolve the longing, the desire, and the missing of that person. It just became clear. I had to eat a lot of caramel corn to get to that. I don't have to eat it anymore. And I'm still working on addictions and afflictions today in other areas of my life. That's the practice. I'm still working on seeing the cause of suffering and how I am a contributor to that suffering, and how I can then choose consciously with intention not to be. I'm still working on that, just like you today. And so sudden or gradual, well, let's say both. Can't we? Let's say a moment, got it. The next moment, don't know. Don't know. Maybe you got it, maybe you don't. Maybe you've had enough contact, practice, experience, clarity, the wisdom, the prajna paramita that we're going to talk about today. Maybe that's available. Maybe it isn't. Watch, however, as we're going to do this week again, please watch for the storyline. And you know how you'll know it? It's comforting. Honestly. Yeah, Siobhan's laughing. It's very comforting. It gets you out of the reality of this everyday, precious, treacherous, treacherous human life. It covers it up. It Teflon coats you. It makes you feel like everything's all right, but it's addictive. It's not freeing. It's the opposite. You have to think it again. You have to eat it again. You have to do it again. This is craving, and we're caught in it. Do you see the difference? The reality of enlightenment, it is wholly liberating. No more. It's okay. It's already all right. Get the difference? And the other, I got to keep telling the story. I got to keep going, no, it's okay. And the reason it's okay is the reason this is all right. The reason I get to take it, the reason I get to have it and not others, the reason I get to keep it, the reason I get to, right, deceive or lie or be greedy or aggressive is this: be watchful of that mind, because that one is keeping you from the truth of the Dharma and liberation. It's sucking you in to the addictive mechanism, right? I was just talking to a yogi yesterday on a podcast. I will send that around on mindfulness. And she was saying, isn't Washing the dishes, knowing you're washing the dishes, mindfulness. Yes. Moment of mindfulness. Isn't it enough? No. Boldly, no. Will it feel better? Yes. Can it be calming? Sure. Can you sustain that? No. Can you? No. Sustained attention is trained. It is trained. Holding oneself in the fire, we'll call it, as Pema says, against the blade, is a practice. It doesn't mean you don't get to hear the beautiful birds and know their song and take joy in it, does it? That's beautiful. A moment of mindfulness. Does it count? Certainly. Is it sufficient? However, towards the end of suffering, what's the answer? It is not. Don't believe it. And I want you to collect all the beautiful moments in this life you possibly can. But I would prefer that you find the end to suffering. Right? It would be my preference that you find the end towards true liberation. Then, by the way, everything is beautiful. Isn't it, Carrie? Then even death is beautiful, isn't it? And it doesn't even matter. It isn't a type of death. It isn't a good death. I don't know what it means either. It is the being present to the precious reality of this human life every moment. And that means not just the bird song, but the shit. Doesn't it? We've got to stay for it all to truly get prajna paramita. The truth, the wisdom of it is not easily won. As it says, not easily won. Why would he say it? If it was just a piece of cake. And that's all you needed to do was eat the caramel corn, knowing you're eating caramel corn. Knowing that it is pleasant. It's half the story. Right? So do we understand? Leslie wrote some beautiful things. I will include them for her because I think she's not speaking, able to speak. I'll check in on that. But she also was in that personal inquiry and recognizing where laziness shows itself and how we can talk ourselves so easily into the story, right? In righteousness, in spirituality, in I've got to do something because they need to get it, right? We have a lot of explanations for our anger, for our greed, and for our delusion that this really is something about me. And boy, I keep learning that it is not so much about me at all. And that, however, this mindfulness that comes through me, this love that lives through me, this compassion that also is expressed through me matters. Right? So we get those differences also. And then I'm going to say one more thing and then we'll practice. So then I was talking with my dearest friend and we were talking about something got said that was said and someone else heard it and got the information. And the distress about it was right and real because it wasn't the way she would normally have said it. It wasn't the way she normally relates. And I said, you know, I'm not too worried about this because it was true. What was said was true. It wasn't with a harshness. It was actually the reality. And in fact, it's now going to invite a couple things, which is more honesty, more clarity, configuring potentially of how we do relationship. And so really, in its way, it's become a blessing, even though it probably wouldn't have been said quite like that, right? In the long run, its benefit will certainly outweigh its moment of discomfort. And that is the Dharma, even when, well, I wouldn't have probably had her read that. I think I would have said it a little differently. Maybe, and maybe it's okay, right? So I want us to be careful about our ideas about what's right, because what's true is what's right. And the truth is, as we relate to laziness in our practice, that practice every day is important and good. And maybe I'm going to say essential. I think I'm going to go there. I think it's essential. And I think the days I don't practice, which aren't there anymore, but were there, all those days I didn't practice, I just had some kind of story about why the other thing was somehow more important than my being. How is that possible? Than being. Because that goes everywhere, right? In everything, in thought, word, and deed all day. And so what was I thinking, really? And it's sort of crazy, right? I don't care how many dust bunnies are under the bed. It's not as important as being whole and capable and flexible and purified, which is what anything beyond a 60-minute practice and beyond is going to offer us. And so why don't we practice that together? And then we'll look at the Bodhisattva activity or the 6 Paramitas, because they say this is the medicine to that stuck storyline. Here they are, these ways of being and of letting go and of allowing life to unfold. Okay, so let's practice together. Thank you for that discussion. This is my new bell. My husband got it for me, a hand tooled singing bowl. Let's see how it sounds. And I know you guys only get maybe a half a second of that, but we'll begin like this. And so finding that wakeful, intentioned, vital, energized seat. The Dharma seat is not sluggish. It is not restless. It is grounded and anchored and embodied, beginning with the posture itself. And then we work on the inner posture, don't we? The heart of bodhicitta, we ignite it with this wisdom that we've just spoken about, with this love, the love of the possibilities in this human life, the love of the goodness available, the love of the others, both in their enlightened moments and in their suffering. We wake up that heart and we commit ourselves to opening it wider, wider, bigger, more. And we're going to begin with ourselves. And may all beings everywhere, without exception, omitting none, benefit from this practice today. With eyes open or closed, we turn the mind towards the body for just a moment. Making contact with this sense of aliveness as known by the body. Maybe sensations, maybe awareness of the breath. See where your attention goes with curiosity, and see if you can't just rest it there for a few breaths. For stabilizing the mind, this is the training in sustained attention. And we begin to cultivate, whether we're resting in open space or in the breath itself. And remember, these are just variations on the same theme. In either direction, we're cultivating immediately qualities of mind. And these qualities include one, the intention to stay. And another to bring an essential openness and curiosity and interest, and then an essential care. And then sometimes we ask the question in our practice, what's so special about the breath? Or what's so special about open space? And the answer actually is nothing. Nothing is special about it until you arrive. And what you bring is precious and priceless. And what you bring is your whole body, mind, heart, being. We show up completely, just this one breath moment. We show up unconditionally. That means we like the moment, we don't like the moment. We enjoy the object, we don't enjoy the object. We're bored, we're tired, we're restless. We're in some form of dis-ease, and no matter what, we show up. We touch in and open again and again. And as we stabilize the mind, our attention refines and we become even more precise, even keener at being able to discern objects from the storyline. And so we begin to just feel the breath, the breath is sensation, maybe a breath we like, a breath we don't like. It does not diminish our experience, and we don't fall into the storyline. We simply abide, stay present to the experience, like it or not, pleasant or unpleasant. And this cultivates a certain muscle, a muscle of equanimity, a muscle of abiding presence, a muscle of recognition. And there is then not only knowing the object as the object, not me, not mine, whether it's sensations or sounds, thoughts or emotion. We don't take claim of any. We get out of the reactive relationship, the moving towards or away. So no matter what the arising object, we rest back in stillness and in the experience, the knowing, simply letting it be. This is an essential part of the training. We do nothing yet. We're cultivating an essential friendliness with two things, not only the object, the sensation, the thought, the sound. We also cultivate unconditional friendliness with ourselves in relationship. And that means we stay and then move closer with friendliness. And as the awareness deepens, it moves both out and in. We touch not only the object, but the body, mind, and heart's response. The liking or not liking, the impulse to move closer, to grab, to keep, to hold, and the aversion, avoidance. And this is one of the first insights, is what I make mine, what I make permanent, what I want. And seeing these qualities are essential to breaking down the storyline. We notice the qualities of mind that are comfort seeking. I like attention on the breath better than I like attention on the stiff neck. I can forget the instructions altogether and go off happily into thoughts. Thoughts about myself, thoughts about my life, thoughts about my relationships. This is another form of laziness. The practice here is abiding a neutral object so that we can see the quality of heart-mind in relationship. whether that's open space or the bike itself. Those objects act like a mirror. And so we're just going to keep paying attention not only to the abiding object, but actually watching the ways we move. And this is one of the forms of our laziness. Rather than stay with a neutral object, not that interesting, not so much going on, we begin to catch all the ways. We begin to color in with our versions of a preferred reality. We color in by making our lists. We color in by congratulating ourselves or by judging ourselves. They're equal, just different valences. We start storylines that we get to listen to about how we're doing, what we're doing, the benefits of what we're doing. And this is not the practice. And it's beautiful to see. Because just like that caramel corn, it will not lead to the end of suffering. However juicy, however believed, however well rationalized, it's addictive. And so our most loving, most compassionate, most caring response is to see the mind and the heart in its movements and smile at the recognition. And with all the loving kindness in your heart, invite yourself back to the present moment. The most radical act of love and compassion. And so long as time and space endures, and as long as there are beings who exist, may I in this light of awareness remain to wash away the sorrows of the world. And may this practice this very day contribute. Oh, I'll just take a moment. I saw several things in chat. Let's see. Leslie says, allowing myself to be distracted by the thoughts, dreams, plans that I unconsciously create to take me away from the willpower, the effort, and the discipline for sure necessary to not run away and instead to confront what it takes to fully be present. I now realize that this is laziness. In my life, I confess this happens throughout the day, as it does for us all. How many moments of life unlived, the moments that I give in to my laziness, do I need to grieve for? How many moments that we do not live? And that's right for us all, isn't it? And yes, there is a deep grief, I think, isn't there? And what we call wholesome remorse, because the very seeing is the path from it to be freed from the addiction, the very seeing it. This is the beauty of this practice, the very recognizing. You haven't been able to do anything else yet. You can't feel for yourself. You can't be different. You can't take any skillful action. You're just sitting in the hole, as John says, sitting in the hole all by yourself. This still is the part of the path because you're recognizing that you're in the hole. And this is good news. Really, it's the beginning. And without knowing how you are, without knowing where you are, there is no way to the end of suffering. How much ever other good medicine you're doing and using, as Siobhan said, right? All these beautiful things without myself. Where am I going? It's like having wheels and no car, right? They're beautiful, right? They're necessary. They're right. They're going to be of support and assistance, and it's all true and they're all good. And it is not enough. It is not enough. You know, we have research on this, by the way. We have people taking medicines. We'll just talk about ingestibles for an example, ingestible medicine. Some shot you take, some vitamin you supplement you take. And do you know, we know for sure, and the research has borne this out well, that if you believe that medicine will be helpful, it is. We also know if you don't believe the medicine will be helpful, it won't. Look at the power of that mind. Is that crazy? Same medicine, same illness. If you believe it will be helpful, this was the power of, Black medicines, Black magic, voodoos, pagan ritual, right? We knew it was healing. It was true because all of the qualities necessary for healing, the presence, the arriving there, the being there in community, the being there with a shared intention, right? All of those factors that we know are healing were there. And then you could put a rooster feather under your bed and go, wow, that's funny. That works. Well, no, not so much the object, right? But what? These qualities of heart mind that we brought to the object, that heals. And then we know where the real healer is, don't we? We know where it is, right here with us. And then we use all these beautiful resources and additional teachers and teachings. They're all wonderful. Leslie also says, how many new moments of full presence can I have once I notice the impulse and choose wholeheartedly to be compassionately present instead of surrendering to the dream? That surrendering to the dream was what Joko talked a lot about. She called it a false life, the life of the dream, the way I want it, the way I think it ought to be, the complaining, the if only this, if only life were different, I could be whole, present, right? And she would constantly shift that around to go, what if everything is perfect except your complaining mind? What about that? And how does that color the lens of everything that is then seen, known, understood? Well, the answer is we know, isn't it? Well, completely. This is its nature. This is its nature. This is the power, the potency, the virility, the boundlessness of the awakened heart mind. Right? Healing, wholeness, presence, all the things we're all looking for. And then we are going to go to the chapter to look at the Paramitas. But I want to just make sure there isn't more to say about this laziness. It was certainly an activating chapter for us, I think, because we all saw aspects of that mind, that just getting out of it mind, that just want it to be easier mind, the mind that goes, I don't wanna, I just don't wanna. I want to do what feels good. I want to do what I get some result. I want to do what I like. And that we all have to recognize that these are essential hindrances to our daily practice as one, and to our whole lives. And then to being in our whole lives. Siobhan, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, yeah, where I got caught is that kind of oxymoron where you think, when you think of laziness, you think of sloth, not doing anything. But for me, laziness shows up in my doing, in the excess doing, all the things I was doing to avoid something else. That's,
Yeah, we call that addiction,
yeah.
don't we? We call it addiction. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a substance, right? You know how many people are addicted to buying, consuming, right? Just look at that, of whatever. And we could endlessly, especially in this season, right? We could really name those things. Consumption, the addiction of doing, even. The very addiction to doing. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do the other thing, and then I'm going to do it. Blah, 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 blah. And by the way, I notice a lot of angry people in dying who spend a lot of time doing as a way of getting out of this human life, getting out of the realities of illness, aging, and death. And then really pissed off because I had a daily yoga practice and I drank all the green juices there were to drink. And I did the affirmations every day, right? And I bowed 40 times to the 90 things. It doesn't matter, does it? And I'm in no way being critical of the thing. It's not the point. Don't misunderstand me and go, well, she doesn't like bowing. It's not true. That's wrong. I do. And I don't think it's enough unless you're fully present in it. I don't. You can bow all day. In fact, Joko, the first thing she said to me was, don't bow if you don't know why you're bowing. Don't do it unless you know exactly what heart mind is bowing. Don't do it. And I didn't do it for 2 years because I didn't know. I didn't know. I thought I was bowing to something out there. I forgot that the thing I was bowing to was already right here, right? That precious human life right here, the Buddha nature right here. And then whatever it could see. It took me a long time to even figure out what the benefit of that was. A simple, fairly simple thing, right? So yes, that we understand this with compassion. And this is where I think the second rub is. I think it's then very easy to see addictive patterns. I think it's very easy to see the mind and its movements and its preference and its bias and then I think it's very hard to bring loving kindness and compassion to it, isn't it? It's very hard. And you noticed how hard it was in this very practice, didn't you? Yes, you did. I heard you. I heard that mind. It went, see, well, okay. Evidently, I need to practice more because clearly my mind's all over the place, or I've got the storyline going, or there I am making the list, or right. There's a second essential piece, and it's essential, which is, can I be unconditionally friendly with the very seeing of the addictive pattern? Can I develop a friendliness, a kindness, a compassion? And actually, we say joy. Can I rejoice? I go, I just saw it. Yippee. I ate all the caramel corn. I ate it all. Ate the whole 6-foot bag. I don't even know why they make those things. That's absolutely insane. I ate it, except I saw it. And that seeing ripens. The next time I ate it, I saw it again and it ripened. And then I did it again and it ripened. And then I did it again. And then I started to go, this isn't starting to make any sense. I don't even like the taste of it anymore. I'm not even getting joy, pleasure out of it. And I'm still stuffing it in my mouth. What's this? Well, that's a kind of curiosity, isn't it? This is the way the path unfolds. And now we're going to look in chapter 17 at what are some of those essential qualities that we have to keep cultivating along with the seeing, along with the stable mind. It isn't enough. We need those qualities of heart. Yes, denial is a form of laziness. Big, big, big time, right? It's one of the base addictions is denial itself, going, there's no problem. I just get to do this. Or it doesn't, I'm a therapist. I talk to people all day long about, your anger is actually hurting you. It isn't even what it does to somebody else. It's that it's damaging to you. People go, oh, no, I actually feel better when I get mad. You do for a moment. It's true. Just the release of that energy will feel better for a minute, right? Like all addictive devices, and then not so good. So that laziness is in the denial and the way we respond to our addictive patterns as well. Leslie says, to me, it really helps to sense spiritual connections that lead to sacred self-compassion. I'm not sure what you mean by spiritual connection. I'll just say simply connection to one's whole self, to one's true nature, to that in oneself, as well as to that in the world, right? We see it in the sky and in the mountains and in the oceans, that same connectedness that Leslie is talking about. And they're all spiritual and they're all sacred, is also true. So let's go to, yeah, it's all connected, is right. We're going to go to chapter 17. We're not going to get to 18 because as I looked at 17, I thought we're not going to get through both. So let's just take a look here. And I'm not sure, Lib, what page is that? 93, page 93, for those of you who are in the book. And I love the first quote by Shantideva, who wrote The Way of the Bodhisattva. And we have studied that book, and we'll go back to it at another time. It's a beautiful tome with stanzas or verses, many, over 4,000. And it is the book, by the way, that the Dalai Lama studies every day. The Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva. And here's what he had to say. As the Buddhas of old gave birth to bodhicitta, or the enlightened, awakened heart, and progressively established themselves in the training of a bodhisattva, that's the meditation practice and its derivatives, so I too, for the benefit of beings, give birth to bodhicitta, awaken, that I awaken to, and progressively train myself. Aha! Here he says it too. You have to train. If you're just hoping for it, no. Praying for it, no. Wishing, no. Waiting for a sudden enlightenment, forget about it, right? Train myself in its discipline. This is the work. Few of us are satisfied with retreating from the world and just working on ourselves. This is that idea of practice for oneself in that cave. We want to train, all of us, to manifest a better world. All of us, not just a better me, but a better world. If you don't have that aspiration, the truth is it will fade. Whatever you think you're going to get eventually erodes. And it's not enough, is it? If you don't go, this is better, not only for me too, but the whole world, you wouldn't bother. It's not big enough, is it? To go, well, then I'll be better. Well, it counts and it is important, but we understand that it is not actually sufficient for most people to practice for a lifetime. That it's got to be because everything's better. Me, others, and the world at large. There are 6 traditional, she calls them activities. I might say attitudes or qualities of being, but activities is a nice word, in which the Bodhisattva trains. These are called the Paramitas. Paramita, actually, the way she's interpreted it here is gone to the other shore. Gone to the other shore. Well, that follows the idea that we are limited, stuck, or fixed in one side, and that this path or way to bodhicitta, to enlightenment, to compassionate presence, it's all of this, is a path or a way of being. The word I like actually better for the Paramitas is beyond or boundless, beyond your idea about patience, beyond your ideas, limited beliefs about generosity, beyond what your own experience of, let's say, discipline is, that it is beyond and larger in every way than our limited views might allow. The limited view is limited then at the bottom there by 2 particular habits: the habit of attachment, grabbing, wanting, clinging, grasping, self-making, and aversion, rejection, aggression, hatred, killing it off, however you think. Attachment and aversion are the 2 primary delusions, keeping us limited, lost, foreshadowed by that limited perspective. Beyond being all caught up in ourselves, beyond the illusion of separateness. We've talked about this several times now, haven't we? Which is any othering, that person over there, that group over there, that or me, this group, and the me's over here is going to contribute to suffering. By the way, highly addictive. As we're looking at laziness, isn't it easy to go you over there versus me over here? And we do that all day. And so it's a good thing to bring awareness to. Each paramita is designed with this ability to move beyond our limited view. She writes, beyond our fear of letting go, beyond our fear of getting bigger, beyond our fear of just me, beyond, right? You can feel where the gripping, grabbing, just got to take care of this. Each paramita expands beyond this small definition of me. In paramita training, then, we learn to be comfortable with uncertainty. That's the groundlessness of true being. The groundlessness of true being doesn't have any handles. There's nothing to grab. There's no me like this and you, right? No belief thoughts. We have to get bigger there as well. And uncertainty is what most of us are trying to avoid. The reality of the groundlessness of the present moment. Going to the other shore has a groundless quality. Oh, she says it right here. I didn't read that. A sense of being caught in the middle. I like the caught in between. We did our Bardo training. What did we see? We all hate the Bardo between this moment and this, the Bardo between life and death. We call that the in-between state where only resting is available, right? We're not on the object. We're not in the thing. We're just open space. And that's actually quite difficult for us. We don't like the groundlessness of that. We don't like not knowing where I am in relationship to things. And it is, once again, most of our behaviors in laziness are attempts, they're failed attempts to anchor something for the self. The knowing I'm okay and avoiding that reality of groundlessness. She uses the river analogy again here. In the middle of the river, with the shoreline out of view, we've all been there. The raft begins to disintegrate. She says, I love this image because here's where we learn to get comfortable with drowning. Yeah, we get comfortable with grabbing nothing because what do we know? There's nothing to hold on to. There's no caramel corn enough. There's no exercise enough. There's no practice even enough. That's not going to invite the connecting to the reality of this essential groundlessness. We could say boundlessness too, because they're the same. But before boundless, we've got to learn how to tolerate some kind of groundless. No, I don't like that so much, says that survival mind. The prajna paramita is the key to this training. It is with the wisdom from the practices. It is with the awakened heart from the practice that all the other foundational elements that we're going to look at begin to take hold. It is an open-ended inquiry into our experience. It never ends. It's ongoing. We question without the intention of finding permanent solutions. This is the instruction. We inquire without looking for an answer or a result. We cultivate a mind that is ready and inquisitive, not satisfied with limited or biased views. That means quick answers, solutions we like. If only you would do this, this could work out better. It's like lying in bed before dawn and hearing rain on the roof. This simple sound can be disappointing if we were planning the picnic. Otherwise, what? We could just relate to the rain without the storyline, without the preferencing as what? A miracle. Right, truly. And we've all done both, haven't we? Gone, ah, there it is. And wow, there's the beautiful reality playing itself out. It is with an unfixated mind of prajna, which, or prana, which is wisdom, that we practice generosity, discipline, enthusiasm, that means joyful effort, patience, and meditation. These are these attitudes or qualities that move us from this small mind The essence of generosity is letting go. Of course, we do know that we've practiced and talked about this before. Pain is always a sign that we are holding on to something. I call that rope burn, don't I? The gripping, clinging, wanting nature is going to cause our distress. Why? Because there's nothing to hold. That's why there's nothing we get to hold permanently, keep for ourselves, nothing that's going to relieve us of this certain reality of impermanence and change. When we feel unhappy, when we feel inadequate, when we get stingy, we hold on tight. Generosity is an activity that loosens us up. We get bigger. We see beyond ourselves. We open. To give is non-attachment. Just not to attach to anything is to give. And that's from Suzuki Roshi. There are many ways to practice generosity. There's the simplest form of giving an object. And that is considered the most basic form of generosity. By the way, it matters and it counts. So we don't want to disregard that. Giving objects. We do that, of course, at this season in particular because of the cold, because of the lack of food, and that is good and important. There's another level, however, of giving. And that level of giving has more to do with giving something of ourselves, not just the object. Let's say, maybe could include volunteering, time, and that also is a certain level of giving that matters and is evolutional. I give not only a thing, I give something of myself. I'm working with the Rotary on this. They're very good about giving things. They give monies to organizations. By the way, very important, don't they? But I'm also talking about with them embodying this generosity, this showing up. To be engaged with, embodied in, and they're working on that, though it's a hard idea for them, I'm noticing. It's easy to regard the Paramitas as a rigid code of rules, very much so. This is where the critical mind steps in and goes, well, you're not doing enough, you've got to do more. She reminds us that the Paramitas are not commandments at all. They are recognizing our habitual reactions, and then with open heart and a certain kind of discipline, we shift from that greed, for example, to a path of continuing and developing always this path of generosity. Let's see if there's more here. That no one action is defined as virtuous or non-virtuous. I think that was an important statement, because sometimes we go, well, to be good, you have to do it like this. It is not true. And in this story, the person made a decision to kill the other without aggression, without hostility, without the othering, for the good of all. Moved by compassion for both the pirate and the people. The captain killed angry spearman. Moved by compassion. There's no act, we already said, that's necessarily good or bad. We don't want to get trapped there, which is like, well, I gave more, so I'm better. That does not hold water at all. There are a lot of people who give a lot of money who do not embody generosity the same way that our prisoner in New York, Marshawn, gave each of our Sangha members $1. And he gave us that $1, having saved it all month. It was his spend money for cigarettes and items. And he gave it to us and he said, I know that this $1 will generate more good than those cigarettes or that candy. Well, he understood something, didn't he, inherently about generosity. He gave something of himself, which was very meaningful to us, and we all kept that dollar, by the way. Another Paramitas, patience. We all understand the values of that. We relax with the restlessness of our energy. I loved that definition. The energies of anger, boredom, and excitement. We rest, and that's a cultivated practice as well. We learn how not to flee and how not to cling. And that patience takes courage, because what? We are going to confront things we do not like. So there's generosity, there's patience. I want to see if I can find discipline in here. I think we'll let it be that today. She talks about the joyful enthusiasm for the practice. I like that one too, but I'm going to push on for a moment to see if I can't find and meditation itself. I'm not seeing the discipline. Oh, here, well, she writes it here in the summary. Training in not causing harm. I love that definition also, in a way that is daring and flexible. That means I don't know what the practice, I just know that I'm going to train to be available to doing what is needed. This is the discipline, that we're not stuck in the martial art, for example, but that we do whatever is required in the moment to reduce harm for the greatest good, for the largest number of beings. And that level of discipline begins with our daily practice, where you heard me say the most radical act of love, compassion, and the Paramitas, this daily practice. So this week, I would like us to practice generosity, discipline, and patience. Generosity, letting go of the things I cling to out of fear. Discipline, training not to cause harm to myself or another, not doing the same old habitual addictive things. That's a discipline. It requires significant, and also bringing a certain kind of patience to our successes and failures, we could call them, to our getting it right and getting it wrong, that we can wake up even in the moments of not doing it perfectly, to what's here, and in patience, in that abiding nature. I think we can see what's needed. Oh, I'm going to have to drink more water, because when I don't drink enough water, I end up not sleeping well, as an example. It's something I just recognized the other day. And I decided, oops, today is a day that I've got to get back out my water bottle. And I'm going to have both discipline for that, a certain mind I have to cultivate. I'm going to have to look every hour, how much water have I been drinking? And I'm going to have a certain level of patience, because I'm renewing, reigniting, reintentioning that skillfulness. And I know there'll be times I might forget. Can I inquire with friendliness, with curiosity, and then recommit myself? All right, we're going to work on those three. We'll come back to this, the following, the other three: enthusiasm, meditation, and prajna, next week. We're going to practice generosity, discipline, and patience this week. See what you bring of that to your own meditation practice. See what you bring of those disciplines, of those activities, and I'm calling them attitudes and ways of being. See what's required of generosity, of discipline, and of patience in your own daily practice. you will require all of them. You will require all of them. Okay, gang? I hope you had a very happy, holy season. I'm looking forward to time together in this upcoming new year. We will be practicing together Thursday. I'll be teaching from 7 to 7:35. Greg is still up in Northern California, and we will be back in the garden this Saturday, which is New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. Beautiful opportunity for letting go of old habit mind, letting go of that which does not serve us. On Saturday, we'll be writing a list of those things we want to release as we renew in the new year, and the new intentions. Different than resolutions, there's no numbers attached to this. There's simply qualities. And how beautiful that we're in the practice of the Paramitas as we come to that new year. I'll look forward to discussing that more with each of you on Saturday. All right, everyone, may we sit for a moment together. Oh, most precious, most divine, most radiant light of bodhicitta, calling that up in ourselves. It is always here and always available, igniting the heart mind, awakening. May this mind heart, may it arise where it has not yet come to be. So all the moments that we have not seen clearly, may we do so now. And where it has arisen, may it never diminish, but grow and flourish evermore. And may we all be happy. May we all be free from inner and outer affliction. May we all rejoice and be glad at our blessings and offer these blessings to others. And may we rest in that vast open space, in the rhythm and beauty of the breath, until all beings are free. May it be so this very day. So be it. With infinite blessings to you all. Good to see you all. Leslie, good to see you. Please get better soon. So important. I'm sorry that you're not feeling well. We're sending all healing your way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
You're so welcome. Thank you. All right, everyone.
Bye.